think it's perfecto. Hey, internet, hosting Instagram. It's me, T, from the Pattersons, taking the train to Tibet. This is a grand day. Well, it's not a grand rising. It's a grand rising was earlier this morning. It's a grand day. Why is it a grand day? Because this is a Thursday. And Thursday is audio drama day, according to moi. You have to quiet my voice. You foreign languages here. Let me explain. Thursdays let me get back to Thursdays. Fridays, every Friday, about this time, more or less, right? Sometimes more, a lot of times. It doesn't matter. We have what's called a week's wrap up, whatever I missed during the week, something like that. Saturdays is whatever happens in my head day, it's the evening time. Right? Sundays is a reading day. I read. We're in India right now, so I read from Tagore, the great Indian. I like to say writer. I know people are poets there, whatever, but the writer. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature, and he said, colonizers. Keep your colonizer. I know you want to get in my good favor so that you could put me up as like, hey, see, we recognize you. We recognize you natives. Whatever you're. Don't. But anyway, he rejected it. But the Indian government, behind his back, got it. That it was in a museum or something like that, or someplace academic, whatever it is. Somebody stole it. Then they got it back. Whatever. Anyway, then on Mondays is a me day where I talk about me. I know it sounds kind of but I don't even know how. I know how I came up because I'm born on a Monday, so don't worry about that part. This is every week, by the way. Tuesdays, we talk U.S. kind of stuff on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, we talk kind of global world kind of stuff, right? And sometimes, especially now that the U.S. and the world thing, actually U.S. seeps over to the world thing, but then we get a break. Thank goodness we get to do my thing. Yeah, I want to get up and do my thing. Okay, sorry, which is audio drama. So now, here's what happened. I had left some documents back in Dumbaza, because I live in Southern Africa, in the Eastern Cape. I actually live in a village with my wife, and then I do work in a location. I'm away from the big city. I do have to go back to the big city the big city. Well, I got to go back to the and I'm here until the end of April. Then May and June I'm in the States, and then I got to go back to Cape Town. I'll go to Cape Town in July because there's an initiative that happens every year called Food and Daba. This thing is huge. Oh, yeah, I don't even know why it's so big. I don't even know why I'm there. They just let me sort of hang out on a periphery or something like that. I'm a witness traveler. And if I'm there, you get you get witnessed from a down low point of view, not from on high. Big old media, with the big camera, well, whatever they have these days. Okay, forget that part. And then I finally, stop that. So then I finally go back to the Eastern Cape, where I belong, and hang out with my peoples. My peoples being the Dumbaza Society for the Age, what I call the Wisdoms, where I give them like little Tai Chi and Qigong, so exercise things in the morning on like 4 days a week, and I work in a community with, they call it the Dumbaza Society for the Age, but I call them the Wisdoms. Because when you get to be our age, I say our age because their age ranges from 60 to 90. I'll be in July, I'll be 75, so there you go. So these are my peoples, you said, and we have a grand time, right? Anyway, then I also hang out with the young people, with the Dumbaza Art Society. I'm like I'm a senior advisor to the group. I don't know why. But you know how young people, they don't really listen to you. You have to say it once, twice. By the time you get to the third time, you're yelling. That makes you a grumpy senior, and it's not a good thing. So I try to stay calm and cool and not talk. Anyway, that's not the point. And so then I'll be happy. I'll be happy for I guess August to end of the year, because then I have to come back here because I have a healing thing protocol I've been doing for last year. This year is finally having a break. Oh, finally having a breakthrough. Last year, this year is breaking through, and I talked enough for that. Let's go to my passion, which is audio drama. It's audio drama day. Anyway, I was saying that I left some documents. They had to be mailed to me, and then for whatever thing, Mr. my guy in the Eastern Cape in Dambaza, I don't know how this happened. Anyway, they took stuff. Anyway, he threw in an envelope a bunch of stuff, and one of the things was so I carried some of this here, which is an announcement for an audio drama I did. Right? I'm going to show it. I'll turn around and show it to you in a bit. But let me just tell you the genesis of this. Well, let me tell you the genesis of this audio drama. It's called The Long Dream, and it's from Long Dream is the name of a book by Richard Wright. We love Richard Wright. I'm somewhat of a, you know how they have Richard Wright scholars, you know what I mean? The academia says you're a Richard Wright scholar. And all you have to do, if you want to be a Richard Wright scholar, all you have to do is read all his stuff. And I read all his stuff. Not only that, let me tell you something. I was a part of the intermediate class of the Negro Ensemble Company, right? They had the what do you call that? The resident company. Then I think they started a class. And I couldn't. But anyway, I was a Negro Ensemble when it first started, right? In 1967. So they had their first productions in '68. In fact, the first production, Song of the Lusitanian Bogey, to this day, it is the best play they ever did. Now think about that. Negro Ensemble, I guess they're still going on, right? Song of the Lusitanian Bogey. Look that up, man. If I did, never mind. The fact that's apropos for today because it's about colonialism. I think it was written by a guy from Mozambique. It was a Portuguese. Anyway, it's an amazing play. Moses Gunn up there, you know, and and Rosalind Cash and all the whole company, you know, Norman. It was an amazing production. And I used to say young buck, I got to see that production. It's directed by Michael Schultz, and it was a fantastic play. Right. Anyway. But another play then later that same season, I don't know if they had another production first. I got to look it up. But that season they did they called Daddy Goodness, which is a Richard Wright play. He adapted it from I guess a French thing because he's living in France. Some French thing he adapted called Daddy Goodness. Amazing play. Guess who was the lighting guy, the lighting technician put the lights for the thing. To put the lights up without me putting the light thing, then the play would be in darkness. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but not exaggerating. And what's the name was on sound? Doc was on sound. Doc was the first producer for Like It Is. You know, Gil Noble's Like It Is. He was the first producer, right? He ran sound for Negro Ensemble Company. I realized for that kind of thing, and he was okay. You know, Like It Is when Alambre Brath, who was a graphic artist, became this sort of like the executive producer. He changed Gil Noble's whole production to be more African centered. You know, that's how Like It Is got to be so. What Like It Is was, of course, Alambre Brath, the great Alambre Brath. You know, Patrice Lumumba Coalition. Okay, you know, don't worry about the part. So anyway, I realized for Daddy Goodness, which is a Richard Wright play. Who knew he wrote a play or he adapted a play? So anyway, and so I did not at that particular point. In fact, I probably didn't know who. Yes, I did know who it was. Because they taught Native Son at school, which brings us to the point. All you teachers that teach you high school, coming of age, you know, you want to teach Richard Wright. Let me put it this way. Richard Wright didn't even like Native Son. When I say he didn't like Native Son, it was his first noteworthy thing. It came out in 1939. It was a big to-do. The people embraced it. It was the first national book, something like that. He was distributed. He was the writer, and everybody, they tried to make everybody like Richard Wright. It was a whole big problem. And he didn't like that, to tell you the truth. The reason why I know he didn't like that, because he he redid Big Richard Wright. Now, I can tell you it came out in 39, right? 1939. In 1953, he wrote another book called The Outsider, which I also did the adaptation. I did an audio drama on that too. And what that is that the main protagonist for Native Son It's basically he purposely made it a two-dimensional character, you know. And to this day, you see all this TV stuff, everybody's two-dimensional character. Don't worry about the part. So he made it a two-dimensional character, right? So he wanted to rewrite it, not rewrite it, but he wrote a book called The Outsider, which is like a three-dimensional character. And the great Henry Winslow Jr., who was a critic at the time, I met him, I hung out with him for a while. And he wrote a review, and he said that the character's name in Outsider is Cross Damon. Yeah, Cross Damon is his name, like a bigger time than Cross Damon. And so Henry Winslow Jr., he said, Cross Damon is a bigger Thomas. That was good. I like that. Because it's an amazing book. So for all you, let me get back to the point. So for all you high school teachers, you teaching young black boys, you want to, oh, forget that killing the white girl and the whole lot of things. Forget that. This is what you should be teaching them. Use the same book from Richard Wright, Do the Long Dream. It's a coming of age story of 4 black boys in the South. Is it Mississippi? Wherever it was, in the South. I think I would know that, but in the South. That's what it's about, and it's much better, a better thing to be teaching young black boys than to be teaching them in little classy native son, you know? Okay. So that's what this is, right? And there's this is the first of a three-part series of books. The second one, I think it was called Isles of Hallucination, which it was done because after this he went to Paris and he wrote the second installment, and then he wrote a third installment. I hope I'm making these titles right, which he wrote the manuscript exists, or at least someone, but it's at Yale. Yale got it absconsed away. You got to be a scholar or something like that to go read it. They'll probably put it out sooner or later. So this is the first of a trilogy, right? The second one, I think it's called Isles of Hallucination, which I guess is about the character Fish in abroad because he had to leave town after Fish had to leave town. Anyway, and then the other one is about coming back to the States, and this is during the time of segregation or upheavals, we shall overcome kind of things, and I guess the Black Power movement. Anyway, so we're going to talk about this, but so this came with me. Not that I forgot, I know a place I did, but this because talk about Alami Breath. He was a graduate of the School of Visual Arts, right? Also a graduate of the School of Visual Arts as a creative unity collective. I worked for the School of Visual Arts for 8 years. I thought, as an artist model, I brought a whole generation of artists through. 8 years is a long time, right? The first 4 years was very intense because whatever I do, what happens is I get really into it. I get so into it that I basically conquer the thing that I'm doing. That's the best way I can put it, right? And so, as part of that thing, Met Creative Unity, there's a group on campus, about 8 or 10 of them, right? And they put on this program. I was doing a lot of poetry. I like County Color, and they were doing the thing. I said, I want to present a County Color poem as one of your things. So I did this Night Rain, whatever. It's his rain poem that I really like. So I did that. That's how I met them. And then I said, but y'all are so talented. You're doing this stuff because they would do stuff that they would play white like Ronald Reagan, and at the time like Ed Koch, mayor of New York at the time. They played these white characters, which seemed so authentic, but they were on stage, they black. So you got to make a thing. I said, now if you did this on radio, hey, you can get over it. And I was at WBAI at the time. I had been at WBAI for a while, and I have been working with Bernard. I learned a lot of technical stuff. Again, I'm someplace, and I studied the lay of the land, and I started learning everything. I ingratiate myself to all the little cabals like that. Oh man, what can I tell you? I'm a what I am. Okay. So I convinced them to come over, and there was a opening for the program guy called the Folio at the time. So I got the station, whatever, to sort of employ them, give them a little money, a little stipend, so they can do like that. And at the same time, I taught them radio. Okay. But at the same time, they became my core group for audio drama. And this particular production was, because it was, at that particular time, we got down to, they started with a lot of people, but stuff happened, and and whatever. And we got down to four people. It was Rodney Black, Yusef Lamont, Michael Mayburn, and Darryl McNeil. Those are the four people. So they all perfectly cast as the four kids, the four young men in this play. Now, I know the play because it was done when I was at graduate school for playwriting at the Mason Grove School of the Arts, at the time it was called that, at Rutgers University, the campus that's in New Brunswick, right? And Avery Brooks, the actor Avery Brooks, okay, he directed the piece, right? It was a fantastic piece. And the guy that played Fisher's father, Bernard Johnson, that was his name then, but as he came to New York, I worked for him after, I will get to that some other time. But he was, he's a great actor. We had to change his name to Matthew Bernard Johnson because I guess there was another Bernard Johnson that's an actor, something like that. How would they do that, right? But he played Tyree. And Johnson, let me just call him Johnson. Johnson was a fantastic actor. Let me tell you, back then there was a thing, Clarence Williams III, the great actor, Prince's father, Prince's father, great actor, married to another great actor, Gloria Foster, who another great actor. There's some great actors back there. I'm talking about in the 70s, man, some great actors. Anyway, he played, the guy's name is, I think it was Randall. Yeah, Randall. There was a thing, I think it was Slow Death on the Killing Ground. No, what the heck was it called? I think it was Slow Death on the Killing Ground. There's this play. It's a 3-person play. It's like a Jewish guy, a white girl, and a black guy. And something with this bookstore, and a black guy somehow is in the bookstore, and then they have this whole thing. So that made Clarence Williams' career. From that, he got to Moscow. Another guy, the guy that played on what's that? It was a comedy series, a cop comedy series. Now, blanking on the brother, I see what's his name. It's like Barney Miller, the Barney Miller series, the black cop on there. He got his bona fides again playing that character Randall in this play. It was like the go-to character for a young black actor. In fact, I played the character in class, and it's a really great character. Good monologues, whatever. Okay, I bring all that up to say that Bernard was fantastic. He played the father, and it was an amazing play. The chaos was really great. The set was unbelievable because this guy Lloyd is I think his name was Lloyd, whatever his name was. He was a student of architecture. Well, the play was an architectural marvel. In fact, there was an incident that happened. Let me give you inside skinny on this. Right? We had when we had the rehearsals, play that, and then we didn't want there was these doors that somehow it didn't want the doors, so we took the doors. The set was built and just put the doors on top of the platform so could they fit on top like that. Well, one of the performances we had, those doors actually collapsed down to the thing. It was amazing because I'm the assistant stage manager for that piece, for the Long Tree, and people were sitting under that thing, and for some reason, maybe call it whatever it is, I don't think I asked anybody to move, but I said something, we'll get some seats over there, something like that, and one of the people was Ron McGee was under there, right? My partner in radio, everything. And so they all moved up there. And when they finished moving, that section collapsed in the middle of about 3/4 of the play. It collapsed. The stand collapsed. Whoa! Some little people got a little bit of injury, but it was like chaos. I'm assistant or whatever stage manager. I'm trying to calm the people down, but I don't know how. I'm a young kid, whatever have you. But Bernard, he came out there. Johnson, he came out there and he just started to sing a song. He got the crowd calmed down. This was a great actor he was, right? And hey, Simon Scott, whoever you are, hey. I'm talking a little about, we're talking audio drama. Don't worry, I get to it. Little theater here too. And so he calmed the thing down. I was marveled. It was like, whoa, right? And Avery asked the should we stop? They said no, we can keep on going because there was no ambulance, whatever injuries, whatever. So and finished the play, right? Okay, show must go on. I just said, let me finish with Bernard. Later, when I left, when I went back to New York, I stage managed for Bernard Johnson as stage manager. I played it. We did, at the New York. Oh, this was terrible. At New York's Poets Cafe, we did this play. And one of the actors was Paul Calderon. He was in what's that? Hey, Uncle Son, long time. Hey, Trevor. Hey, what's up, man? You know, you been keeping up with the politics of South Africa? Man, y'all better get it together. Anyway, back to the point. So Paul Calderon, he did a lot of off-Broadway stuff, and he was in what's the Quentin Tarantino play, the famous one. He was the barkeep. He's supposed to, anyway, but we had this actor. They hired this actor, and he wouldn't learn his lines. And Paul got pissed. We was doing a live show, and there was a startup, a fake gun or whatever, and he was so emotional and pissed off or whatever, that he shot the gun next to the guy's ear. I had to stop the show. We had just had to stop the show, right? And I'm going like, look, this is why I don't particularly like. I do audio drama. Let me switch over to audio drama now. I have so many things in theater where people are just actors. I'll go into acting some other time. Let me just go to audio. So with audio drama, I don't have all that stuff because we do it one time. I do modern live audio drama. That's what I do, right? Even though I'm thoroughly trained in theater, I'm thoroughly trained in radio. I'm sort of self-trained in radio because I have my own radio program. Even though my undergraduate degree is in communications as well as English literature, blah blah blah. But I'm I have my own radio program. I developed Okay. But audio drama, especially, I developed, again, myself. I developed this at WBAI, right? So, this production here, and what I do, I produce them. I usually either adapt them or I write them. Creative Unity is a fantastic writing group. So basically, they wrote their own scripts. It's really, think of In Living Color, but on a really interesting level, right? Really good thing. Okay, so this is my adaptation, and I think the play was only about 3 hours long, 3.5 hours long, like that. So let me turn this around so you can perhaps see if this light went down. No, that's my thing. Let me turn this around so I can show it to you. Oh, that's not what I'm turning around. I got to turn the thing around so I can show you so you can see it. There we go. Well, let me turn this other light on. Wait a second. Let me turn this other light on. Ah, there we go. I don't know why this thing went out. My thing here. Oh, I gotta have that screen. Okay, here we go. So, now you can read it. Okay, or you can see it. So the graphics, everything we do is the graphics of this thing was done by what the graphics? I think the graphics. See the back here. I got all the credits here. Graphics. Yusef and Rodney Black and Yusef were part of Creative. They did the graphics. So all the stuff that you see here, the logo and everything like that, was there. This is Nightmare of the 50s. The play takes place in the 50s. Visit Dream of the 80s. That was the thing like there. America, there are two sets of laws, those for blacks and those for everyone else. You see that thing right there, like that? You see? This is something that Yusef and Ronnie laid out. Let's look at the dramatic mirror of these times and glimpse the beginnings of it all. Okay? The modernization of the black race, black rage. Over here it says, Richard Wright's final novel, now a radio play, shines light on the black America within white American culture. Oh yeah, it was this. Well, it was his final published novel because, like I said, this was the first of a 3-part series. The second novel was, I think it was Isles of Hallucination, which he did in Paris. And the script was done. It's someplace. It exists someplace. And then I remember he did a treatment for a third novel. Anyway. And that exists. You gotta, hey, somebody pressure Yale University to publish that sucker. Maybe they published it already, I don't know. On the occasion of Richard Wright's 80th birthday, okay, so we did. Radio station WBAI will broadcast The Long Dream, a searing novel written in 1958, still applicable in 1988. Oh, I guess this is 1988, okay. Over in radio WBAI. Now here's my thing. This is the cast. These are all the voices. This is what it is, right? I can't even read this thing. Let me put my glasses on. I'm sorry I take so long, but I'm fascinated with this myself. See, Michael Mayburn is part of KT. There's that. Who was that? Pamela Miranda was in it. Youssef, Daryl, Ronnie, Joe Masseri. Oh, Joe Masseri's in. Oh, that's when he had Fritz, a binaural microphone we used. Charlie Morrow, my main man, Charlie Morrow was our go-to white actor. He's really great. Max, Youssef, they played multiple characters because his voice kind of things, right? I had Max Schmid in there. I gotta remember Max Schmid was in one of our plays. It was in there. Okay, Max Schmid, who does WBAI, does the whole old-time radios kind of things. Okay, Harold Lucifer, who was a great radio voice, was my intern he was my intern for normal radio. And there she is, the woman, the legend, Jeannie Harper does Liquid Sound Lounge, does Liquid Sound Lounge someplace now. Harold Lucifer, Susan Giles is what's the name? Giles' sister, and her note. If you want to know who she is, when they pressured what's that pervert, the whatever, Woody Allen, they accused him of not having any black people in his movies, right? Well, the first black person he had in his movie was actually on video. So was it Susan? Yeah, I guess it was Susan. Maybe it was somebody else. I think it's one of the Giles people. No, Nancy Giles. No, Nancy Giles. Forget, I'm messing it up. Nancy Giles was in the Woody Allen movie on video. That was kept on video. That was the first black person she had in this piece. And that's history. You can figure that out. You know how about Harold Lucius? Right, I got that. Charlie Mons. You see, people play double up. Chris Brandt, my main man. Chris Brandt, great poet. He was in this one too. I used a lot of people. Pamela Miranda again, Joe Masseri, John, Rondi Miller. Oh, Rondi Miller, she's the one that did my locks. When I had my locks, and she said, "You got it." Anyway, she was in there. Brenda Edelman. I don't remember. Oh yes, she's a white girl. Brenda Edelman, Pamela Miranda again. Harold Lucius, Rondi. See, they double up because we're all voice actors. We double up. You said. Susan Giles again, Daryl, Max Schmid. Oh, Max! When I see Maxine, I say, I forgot she was in Long Dream. Hey, oh, and Bernard White, and Bernard was in there too. We threw Bernard in there. What was he? Fearless, Roller. Okay, like that. Then we had musical direction. We had Bruce Mack. That's right. This is the first time Bruce Mack was with us. Bruce Mack, Bruce Mack of the PBR Street Gang. He was a music director. He played keyboards. We had live music too. Show Green guitar. That was the PBR Street Gang. Miles Madison is part of his band, and Darryl McNeil was playing bass. So no, he put together a band for this play. The binaural microphone that we used, nobody used it at the time, but we did. Why? Because we could. We did a lot of innovations for that. Jane Pippick was a technical director because she for the thing S. Medea Hall. I think that's Saida. I don't know who that is. There we go. Adapted to radio, engineered, and directed by Anthony J. Sloan. That would be me. From the first novel. So this must have been. Oh, this is before. Okay, so I engineered too, but usually. Oh no, I know what happened. Yes, I did engineer, but we don't have Darryl. But Darryl was my assistant engineer. Because there was this thing. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened. Let me turn this back on me. Let me tell you what had happened. There's this thing when I did the piece. It's 1988. That's right. I had taken a trip. That was when the Democrat National Convention. This is the whatever date it was. This is September '88, right? But in the summertime, they had the Democrat National Convention, and I went down there because I did some sound work. I did some work for WBAI, for Pacifica Network, right? And on the way back, I'm gonna skip. And on the way back, I just finished up the piece, and I had a part for Bernard, just a preacher. He played a preacher, right? I had a part for him, right? Because Bernard, my association with Bernard is that when Emanations first started, it was me and Bernard doing Emanations, and that's the rest is history. That's when I started at WBAI. So anyway, So somebody let him have a cabin or some sort of thing up in upstate New York. I just come back. I said blah blah blah, and so he was taking his vacation, and he said, well look, hey, I got this cabin, you know, when once you come, you know, because I had an extra room, so I stayed with him, right? And I was just finishing up the piece, and I said, Bernard, I got a part for you, right? You could play this part, right? Now, in the piece, there's a fire. At the same time, around about this time, there was that fire that happened in the Bronx, where they had that all these people got killed in the Bronx. When this thing, there's a fire that happens in wherever it was, Mississippi, wherever it was, right? And nobody had information on the fire, but they did. Who was it? One of the bluesmen had done a song. That's the only record we have of this fire that had, you know, because that's the only record he had of the fire. And I think it was, who uncovered it? What's the name? Uncovered it. One of our producers got the record, so we even played the record before the thing. But the point is, so it was like, that's what things was mirroring. It was very spooky because we was working on a play and this fire happened. The Bronx, it happened in the Bronx. I forgot the name of the club, but it was a famous thing back in 1988, right? So in this play, the preacher, there's a funeral and the preacher does a thing. So we don't have a lot of rehearsals, but we have run-throughs. So when we get back, we had to have a run-through, whatever it did, like on that Sunday, we had to have a run-through, right, a walk-through. And so we did that scene, because everybody was there doing the scene. And Bernard was just reading the thing, and I think the play was like the next day or the day after. I think it was maybe like the next day. The way he was reading it, you can see especially Yusef, you know, going like, oh man, this is not going to work. Oh gosh, this is really flat. And my thing is like, when I put together a play or something like that, I see how it can turn out. So in my head, I can see the piece. It don't have the way it happens. So what? I've entertained myself. Anyway, I would prefer the kind of thing. But I don't pressure nobody. So that's over with. This back in the day where you had you had the dollar phone, you know what I mean? So Bernard calls me that night, later that night. He says, Anthony, I got it. I said, okay. So I trust. I mean, you know, when I hire you, if I cash you for something, I feel you can do it. Man, we did the piece. Now the fire, this preacher comes in like 3/4 of the way, whatever it is. Man, and the way we do the thing, we have the I use the station like the main control room would be a setting. The meat locker, call it meat locker, edit C would be another setting. Then the studio A would be another setting. So I had 3 different things going. When we wanted to go to another setting, it's like if you go to a theater and you see the lights come up, you say, oh, the actual way, but you can see. Well, this is like radio, so you know. So when the microphone comes up and things like that. Okay, so everybody was in the studio A for the funeral, right? And Michael Mayburn was in another room because the next scene was happening in this other room. But Bernard did this preacher. He did a singing Southern preacher. This thing was so powerful. It was like unbelievable. And the people, I mean, the cast, they were just possessed. And it was like, and I'm up there engineering because I do the glass, and I don't know why I don't have it. I don't know if Smooth had come then. I think Smooth came later. No, I think Smooth was there. That's right. I must have been, no, Smooth wasn't there, it's 88. So anyway, so it was uncontrollable, right? And now I remember what Bernard Johnson had done with the thing, you know. So by that time I'm a little older, you know, I 10 years older, whatever it is. And so I said, Daryl, I had Daryl take over like that, and I ran around and got into the thing and started to hum the people down to just dissipate that energy because Bernard had them so hyped up. Here's the funny thing. I'm sorry. Everything has to do between. When I finally got him hung down, and had Daryl to go over to Michael to the other scene with Michael. Here at the very end, Joe Basiri, who's an Italian guy, he goes, "Hallelujah, thank the Lord, hallelujah," something like some black thing. No, Joe, but it's live, whatever it is. Anyway, so that's it. So we did this piece, and that was a graduation piece for Daryl and Michael and Rodney and Youssef, because those are the three people in the thing. It was a great production, and it was like amazing, really amazing. It's one of my best productions. So that's it. That's audio drama. I'll talk about more about audio. Every Thursday we talk about audio drama. I probably talk too long right now, but I got all wrapped up. So I get excited about these things. I to remember and stuff like that. Okay, check y'all later. Trevor, talk to you. Whatever, not talk to you. Whatever. Are you going by Simon Scotch, Trevor? Why don't you? No, I won't mess with them. These are Fort Hare students that I used to hang out with. I was an old man, and they was at the so I always mess with them. Okay, talk to you later.